Joining us now, the Washington Free Beacon's Lachlan Markey, author, columnist, Fox News contributor, Jedediah Bila. Good to have you both here. Let's start, Jedediah, with you. It looks like Cruz is making a strong move, still well behind in the national polls to front-runner Donald Trump, but making a big move in Iowa.
Yes, and we predicted this right here on this show. We talked about it a lot. We talked about the fact that conservatives are looking for someone that's reliable, that potentially wasn't Ben Carson or Donald Trump, because Donald Trump and Ben Carson have a tendency to make a lot of mistakes, have a tendency to say things that then leave people saying, are they serious? Can they actually be president? Can we trust them if there was a hot-button national security issue? Fact of the matter is, Ted Cruz is probably the smartest guy in the room all the time. He's been able to articulate principles very well, and he gives conservatives a lot of confidence. He gives evangelicals a lot of confidence. He really taps into the conservative base. If you look on Twitter, if you look at talk radio, if you look at people like Mark Levin, people who conservatives look to and say,
you came through
who is
all of
this
that
guy behind?
Mark Levin.
No, it's true, though. Mark, no, I'm saying.
How about Rush Limbaugh?
It's
Come
true.
on.
Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin. These are people that conservatives look to and say, I say Mark Levin because he's brilliant, he's a genius, and he sifts through these candidates quite well.
So
He's also a friend of mine. Hi, Mark. But he does that well, and people look to guys like that who are reliable conservatives and say, who are they talking about? And Ted Cruz happens to be that guy.
You agree, Lachlan?
Well, I think obviously the Republican Party is pretty splintered right now, and I think if you see Trump sort of shooting up in the polls, and I think he's taking a lot of the support that Ben Carson is losing right now, I think that might actually speed the sort of the establishment coalescing around an alternative, whether that's Rubio or Christie or
you don't think they've already done
Bush or whoever
Lachlan,
it is.
Come on. You don't think they've already done that?
I think it's
it's
a double-edged sword for Cruz.
It looks like cause and effect out there to me, Lachlan. It looks to me like we're seeing strong support for Rubio, strong support for Cruz. Bush he's ebbing very quickly, and that looks like, if you will, a coalition that's been built of the establishment, and the establishment.
Well, I think once you start seeing sort of a winnowing of the field, and people have been whispering about Jeb Bush dropping out for a few weeks now. If that were to happen, I think that would really shake things up, and I think you'd see a lot more support, both in terms of votes and in terms of money and delegates and high-profile endorsements. I think you'd see that lining up behind Rubio pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
And I wonder if endorsements are going to help or hurt this year, because we're looking at an electorate that's had a bellyful of establishment professional politicians.
Yes.
And Rubio's name rings like a bell in all of that.
No one cares about that, and I don't think this is an election. No, they do. They don't. I mean, no, it's true, though. I mean, everyone keeps talking about money. Jeb Bush has a ton of money. He still
I get
stinks.
it. I know you love Rubio.
But
I have to insist that we look at reality here.
Reality
the
is
outsider candidates are prevailing in the polling.
Right.
We cannot dismiss it with a wave of our wand.
No, and that's what I'm saying, though. I'm saying that these big-time donors, I'm saying that these big-time cash, they're not going to predict this election. They're not going to predict who wins.
Okay.
I'm actually agreeing with you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, see, he got so distracted thinking that I liked Marco Rubio that he just had to crack a joke. No, I'm kidding. I do like Marco Rubio, by the way, but I think this is going to be...
it's no joke.
No, I think this is going to be an interesting... My prediction is you're going to see a Marco Rubio versus Ted Cruz really fierce debate coming to the forefront, and I think conservatives are going to have to choose, and I think the establishment will fight hard for Marco Rubio because they believe he's the more electable guy. Whether or not he can get out of a primary remains to be seen. I think Ted Cruz is a force to be reckoned with.
You're right.
I mean, hey, if the establishment pick becomes Rubio, I'd say conservatives have a pretty good election cycle ahead of them, because as far as establishment candidates go, I think Rubio's a pretty conservative one, certainly more so than Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush.
Talk to them
John
about
McCain.
Immigration, though. If you look at issues like immigration, if you look, they have concerns about Marco Rubio.
One question here.
It is your show.
Well, no, I don't want to intrude, but I do want to know what happened to Donald Trump in this, the front runner who has overwhelming support in a plurality here in this field. I mean, you both just dismissed him. I just wondered what happened to him. Lachlan?
Well, I think that he's got a high floor of support in the sense that he's got very wide name recognition and his style appeals to a lot of people. But I think he's also got a pretty low ceiling of support, and I think a lot of these sort of bombastic things that he said have turned off a lot of people who weren't supporting him. He wasn't their first choice to begin with, but I can't see them ever coming around to supporting him. So he might win an early state or two, but I just don't know if he has broad enough appeal to lock up the delegates that he's going to need.
Even though he's ahead in every state by a substantial margin, with the exception of Iowa.
I think if he continues this pattern with these retweets that then he gets on television and says that he didn't really look up, I think he will be viewed as less sturdy and less reliable, and the Ted Cruzes and Marco Rubios of the world will ultimately steal his thunder.
So Lachlan sees the floor when he hears the name Trump, and you think of a distant cloud. Jedediah Bila, Lachlan Markey, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Amazing.